My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of the remake of House of Wax. And this review will have spoilers, so there's your warning. But I did watch this movie once before, like a decade ago, and I remember I didn't like it for whatever reason. But as time has passed, the more I look back on this movie, the more I like it. So I was very excited to rewatch it for the very first time. And this movie's awesome. I loved it. It it baffles me that this movie got such terrible reviews. Like on Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 28% from the critics and a 43% from the audience. Like, what gives? That's just insanity to me. It's really, really great. Like, holy shit. I can't wait to watch this movie again. So, let's begin talking about the cast. And Alicia Cuthbert, I thought, was really great in this movie. She brought her character to life perfectly, and she was very likable and charming, but also tough and smart when needed, and I was impressed. But my favorite performance here is Chad Michael Murray. He is fantastic. He's definitely an asshole for a large chunk of this movie. You can tell that he's difficult and he's stubborn, but by the end, those are aspects of his character that you like, and I just really like he grew on me by the end, and he just excelled here. I also do like how the movie focuses on this brother and sister relationship. I thought it was a refreshing change of pace. Then we've got Jared Padalecki, who I thought did a very great job. He stood out, and his fate I'll talk about more, but shit. John Abrahams I thought did a very good job as well. Paris Hilton. Okay, look, she's bad, but she's not that bad, and she's not really in this movie much. Robert Ri'chard, I thought, did a perfectly fine job, but once again, he's barely in this movie. Brian Van Hort, I thought, did a very good job. He's menacing, he's disturbing, and he's manipulative, and he just plays this character perfectly. I was shocked to discover that he plays both Bull and Vincent, but he stands out. He kind of looks like Henry Cavill a bit in this movie. And Damon Herriman, I thought, was uncomfortable and disturbing in a completely different way. So, the cast, for the most part, is a real strength of this movie. But what really stands out is just how terrifying this movie is. Like, some movies rely on tension and atmosphere. Some movies rely on jump scares. This is a movie that is so horrific with what happens to these people. The fact that they turn into wax statues is one of the most terrifying and disturbing things I've ever seen in my life. Like, their skin just pretty much becomes wax, and they can't move, they can't talk, they can't react to anything. They're just in one position, perfectly still, and if something happens to them, they have to suffer in silence, and they're pretty much just waiting to die. They're waiting for starvation and dehydration to catch up to them until eventually their body just gives up. And that really gets under my skin. It's great when movies can come up with a fate worse than death, and this movie definitely does that. But let's say, best case scenario, they do get rescued. There's nothing they can do. And it just sucks. It sucks a lot. That one scene where Wade starts peeling off. Not Wade. What's the other guy's name? Don? Anyways, when the one friend starts peeling off Wade's face, it is such a gross, disgusting moment. And you feel so bad for Wade there. You really do. Like, he's in so much pain and he just... Oh my god, it is... This movie really isn't that bloody, but it's still very effective when it is bloody, but it's also really effective on a psychological level. Like, even the fact that his skin does come off that easily. The fact that one girl in the church, her arm just comes clean off like that. Like, it just makes you think about mortality and... Yeah. There's also some really great unnerving moments. The scene where Carly goes to the church looking for help, and she gets there and she realizes it's all just dummies, and that this entire town is completely empty besides Bo and Vincent, and it's just all these people who have died such a horrific way. And the town is like a dollhouse to them. Just really great stuff. Even Vincent's lair, you can see faces made out of wax in the walls, and I'm curious how many of those are actual human. There's a scene where we find out that Bo can't be trusted, and that the truck is actually the one that they saw earlier, and that's definitely an unnerving scene. And, oh shit, okay, the scene where Carly gets kidnapped, and instead of using duct tape over her mouth, they use glue. Like, something so small, but just watching her trying to open up and yell for help, but she can't. Oh, and eventually she does, and that's gnarly. When her finger comes off, like, this movie, it's just so great. And I also love how the final battle feels like an action movie climax. It's very exciting, and just the fact that this house of wax is melting is just the perfect set piece. The practical effects in this movie really are top notch, and Collet-Serra just directs this movie perfectly. It's very atmospheric, and I also love how when the movie ends, it cuts to the credits, and suddenly My Chemical Romance starts playing, and it's just a total tonal whiplash, but it completely works for me. So yeah, I know some people complain about the runtime for this movie. It doesn't actually bother me because I think the more we spend in this town, you're just waiting to see if that fate falls upon our main characters. But that said, I do think the one scene with Paris and her boyfriend does kind of take away from everything happening. I would have preferred if they found a way to the town. I liked the level of restraint here, but I also would have liked a bit more waxy action. Some of the exposition can be pretty heavy. Like early on, the brother and sister are talking, and she's like, oh, you do this, and you do this, and you do this. And I'm just like, okay, that's obvious. And at the end, Bo and Vincent are talking, and it once again feels a little lazily written, but that's really all my negatives, and they're just ever so minor. Like, I think this movie is unique, it is effective, and it's just truly horrific. Like, just the ideas present and what's happening is some of the most disturbing stuff in film, and I just love this movie. It's just so entertaining, it's so tense, and it just fully delivers. So I'm giving House of Wax an 8.5 out of 10. Okay, have you seen House of Wax? What did you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos soon. And Gavin out.